Thanks for staying with us. He calls himself a voice and a role model for any teen struggling with gender confusion. British-born Ollie London's battle with the disorder led him to seek plastic surgery procedures 32 times. A series of choices he says were fueled by his own distorted body image and social media. I spoke with Ollie last week to hear about his journey to the truth about himself. If you don't mind, can you take us back to the beginning of your story, before that first surgery? I know you were 13 and you were going through some hard times. Tell us about that.
So my story really started as a teenager. When I used to go to school, I used to get bullied so much every single day by the way I looked. I had a very big nose. I had a lot of acne on my skin. So I was very, very self-conscious, and people would tease me, you know, call me Big Nose. They would call me a monster or Shrek. So that really kind of stuck in my head and made me feel so bad about my appearance. So that's when I started to kind of think that maybe I can change myself. You know, I'm really unhappy in my body and with my face. Can I change that? And then my next start of the journey was in Korea in 2013 when I underwent my first plastic surgery, and then it kind of became a snowball effect, and I kind of started having so many surgeries to try and change, you know. And then 6 months ago I had facial feminization surgery. I tried to look more feminine. I thought maybe I've got, you know, gender dysphoria. Maybe I feel like I'm trapped in the wrong body. And yeah, so I've had 32 surgeries now, and I've got to a stage now where I kind of regret what I've done to myself. I kind of feel, you know, why did I go on this journey? I was very lost, and finally the last few months I've actually found God. I've been going to church, and that has really made me rethink and reevaluate my life and what's important to me.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, Ollie, were there any other maybe outside influences that caused you to think, I should go through these surgeries? I don't like the way I look. What about social media? Did that play into it?
I think for any young person, myself included, there is so much pressure these days with television, with magazine. The beauty standards are always so high, especially with social media. And what young people don't seem to realize is that every celebrity, from the Kardashians to, you know, Paris Hilton, we all use Photoshop. Everybody uses Photoshop. You get to see an idealized version of a person's life, which is not necessarily true. So, you know, I think I definitely felt that pressure. I saw, when I was living in Korea, I saw all these K-pop posters, all these TV shows with K-pop stars, and they looked absolutely amazing. So that's really why I thought maybe I can have surgery to look like a K-pop star. Maybe I can look more beautiful. And I think a lot of young people these days are undergoing surgeries. They're also getting confused with their genders based on what they're seeing on TikTok, on Instagram. And I think it's very harmful to a young child's development.
Absolutely. What would you say to parents who have young children, maybe in adolescence, and are struggling right now?
So I would say to parents, I know it's really hard because kids these days, they're obsessed with using a phone. A lot of kids use phones from when they're like 4 years old. And I don't think it's healthy for a child to be on their phone all the time. I think the parents definitely need to have more involvement on what the child is doing. You know, maybe limiting their access to social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram until they're of a certain age where they've matured. Because I think, you know, when you're 10 years old, 11 years old, you go onto TikTok, you see an influencer that is pushing these ideas on you. For instance, you have Dylan Mulvaney, who just met Joe Biden last week, and they are pushing these ideas onto kids which are not in the best interest of the child. The child may see this and think, okay, this is normal, I can do this. So then children will start to question their gender, they'll start to question their identity, and they will try, you know, and say to a teacher or doctor, I'm in the wrong body, I need to have surgery, I need to have puberty blockers from the age of 12. So I think social media is very harmful. So I would just say to parents, just be careful, keep an eye on your kids. There's a lot of harm on social media. You know, kids shouldn't really be on social media until they're, you know, a developed teen. I know it's a struggle for parents because, you know, kids are addicted to their phones, but just keep an eye on them because, you know, you don't want your kids to change into something that's not right for them.
I know that you're also, you know, closely following the push for transgender rights in schools here in the United States, and you also have a message for the school boards here. Tell us what that is.
So I would just say to the school boards, stop pushing these radical gender ideologies on children. In kindergartens, in some school boards, they are teaching children about sexual education, about gender identity, telling kids to be non-binary. You know, it's really wrong. These are just children. And, you know, children are so impressionable. If a person of authority, like a teacher, tell something to a child, the child automatically believes it. They trust this person. So when a teacher is telling a child it's okay to change your gender and you're 10 years old, it's okay to go on puberty blockers at 12, the child will believe this. They'll go home to their parents, they'll tell the parents, and I think, some of the people controlling the education system have these woke ideologies that they think it's acceptable to do this to children. But, in my view, it's child abuse because children shouldn't be subjected to anything like this. They should just be getting an education, playing sports, learning history, doing things that are important to a child's development. Not changing their pronouns, not having gender-neutral toilets, which can cause harm, as we saw in Virginia, where there was a 15-year-old boy in a skirt that used the female restroom and raped a young girl. This is not acceptable, but sadly these school boards are pushing this on young kids.